this book is concerned, we come down to the number one. From this book, there's a guy on the mic, The True 50 Greatest MCs, written by Kool, which came out back in 2003 during the early 2000s. And here's the number one MC he felt that was the greatest. There's no debate about that. If you really know who this guy is, he may have came from before your era, before your time, whatever it is. Or if you was born during that time, and after you was born, you understand how great this guy was. Or you was born before, and you know how great this guy was. Melly Mel, the godfather of rhyme, is the number one. The number one greatest MC of all time. This guy right here, Melly Mel. And gonna break down why. The classic verse from The Message. The greatest verse maybe ever in the history of rap. A child is born with no state of mind, blind to the ways of mankind. God is smiling on you, but he's frowning too, because only God knows what you go through. You grow in the ghetto, then the second rate, and your eyes will sing a song, a deep hate. The place you play and where you stay look like one great big alleyway. You admire all the number book breakers, those pimps and pushers, the big money makers, driving big cars, spend 20s and 10s. You want to grow up and be just like them. Smugglers, scramblers, burglars, gamblers, pickpocketers, even panhandlers. You say, I'm cool, I'm no fool, but then you wind up dropping out of high school. Now you're unemployed, all nine and void, walking around you like the pretty boy Floyd. Turn up, stick up kid, but look what you done did. Got sent up for an 8-year bid. Now your man who's took your maid tag and spent the next 2 years as an undercover blank, being used and abused and served like hell, till one day he was found, hung dead in a cell. It was plain to see that your life was lost and you was cold and your body swung back and forth. But now, yeah, I sing the sad song of how you lived so fast and died so young. Pound for pound, a child is born as the greatest rhyme ever. Ever. The greatest rhyme ever, going to Kool. I will not disagree with him as we continue on. And when you talk about Melly Mel, you talk about a plethora of superlatives and a series of firsts. First of all, he's the first MC to explode in a new rhyme cadence and change the way every MC rhyme forever. Rakim, Biggie, and Eminem have flipped the flow, but Melly Mel's downbeat on the 2/4 hit, the snare cadence is still the rhyme foundation all MCs on are building on. His brother, Kid Creole, and Keith Cowboy, Grandmaster Flash, first MC, Mel flipped the cadence from the simplistic call and response style and added rhythmic rhyme punchline style. Creole was known to as the storyteller and the first true hype man for Flash, and Cowboy was the party MC. The three of them had very similar cadences, and unlike most MCs at the time, they used their natural voices, but by 1978, they put two more MCs down, Mr. Ness and Raheem. The group became Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five. And Melly Mel seized control as the dominant MC. He began taking the rhymes into a poetic braggadocio unparalleled at that time. Along with Flash's innovations in DJing, hip-hop's first paradigm shift was complete. Hip-hop had a whole new look and sound. It was all about beats and rhymes, and Melly Mel was at the forefront of the rhyme movement. He made everybody change their name, change their game, and step with their lyrics. Anybody who started a group needs to have a lead MC with skills as the anchor. Phyllis Ford, DLB, Cold Crush, Cass, Treasures 3, Kool. The Funky Four recruited two MCs, Rodney C. and Jazzy Jeff. Everybody was attempting to keep up with Melly Mel and the Furious Five's formula. And this is all done on a street level before there were any rap records. However, in 1979, after Sugar Hill dropped Rappers Delight, Melly Mel went into a zone where he was basically untouchable. Without question, Melly Mel was the best hip-hop songwriter from a lyrical standpoint. I was the best intricate routine writer. Cass was the best song routine writer. DLB was the best theme routine writer. But none of us could touch Mel's consistent songwriting ability. Curtis Blow was about as good, but Melly Mel was more lyrical, and which gave him more of an edge than Curtis. At the time, MCs weren't really allowed to make albums, but from 1989 So 1984, every, I think it's 1969, 1984, every single year Mel had some kind of hit on the streets. Although the records were by Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five, everyone knew that Mel was the principal writer. In 1979, they had the marathon hit Super Rapping, one of those 8-minute rhyme-a-thons with no hook. In 1980, they took over the Summer with Freedom, a party record where Mel actually put the party on wax with classic old school call and response. 1981 birthday party made a loud noise, but this other great group, the Treasures 3, sold up the year with Feel the Heartbeat. Nonetheless, Melly Mel's songwriting was still in full effect. Now, but in 1982, Melly Mel caused another paradigm shift. The paradigm shift, hip hop has a built in 3 year hit record paradigm shift. Every 3 years since 1979, a record comes out that shifts the way record making is approached. However, the secret is the copycats never do care because it's a one shot deal. 1982, Africa Bambaataa shifted the planet with Planet Rock. Melly Mel shifted lyrical content with the message. This record is second only to Run DMC's work this way in terms of what it did for hip hop. Up until this point, there's only have been party hits with light-hearted lyrical content. Curtis Blow's The Breaks and Hard Times with messages, but The Breaks were more of a dance record. Curtis's execution was happy-go-lucky. The song Hard Times just didn't hit. When the message hit, Melly Mel began his separation from the pack of MCs. If Rakim was Michael Jordan, Melly Mel was Bill Russell, the first dominant champ. The message caused a series of events that turned hip hop on its head. The reason I call it a paradigm shift within a paradigm shift was because many things changed, but the cadence stayed the same. Change one, the record established Melly Mel as the official voice of the group. Ultimately, it broke the group up, and he began his career as a soloist. Change two, it changed the routine formulas that groups were using on wax. It was the beginning of the end for the round robin temptations like back and forth rhyming styles of the 3, 4, and 5-man groups. Suddenly, there was only soloists and duos. Even the Fat Boys with 2 MCs and a human beatbox. Change 3, almost every MC tried to include some type of positive message in their music. Run DMC's It's Like That, Fat Joy's in Jail, Churches 3, Yes We Can, and the Phillips 4 Problems of the World. We have just a few examples of the many groups that changed their party style records. The final and most significant change, in my opinion, according to Kool D, was the record reported to have gone gold in 21 days. Within 6 months, the group was in court suing the label for royalties. This got everybody thinking about money and restructuring contracts. This also led to the breakup of the 5-man groups because there wasn't enough money at that time to split 5 ways. After lawyers and managers and taxes, the money from hit singles was merely a pittance. The contract issues and questionable business practices of record labels would resonate to this day. However, the creative changes lasted for 4 more years, and Melly Mel rode the wave at the highest level. In 1983, he made his first true solo debut with White Lines, where he masterfully slowed his cadence down to match the dark intensity of the track and lyrical content. The song was the first record in hip hop totally dedicated to the anti-drug movement. At this point, Mel was more associated with being an urban poetic messenger than he was an MC. However, in 1984, he maximized the combination of the two energies, went into a lyrical zenith zone with the title song to the movie Beat Street. Mel's song Beat Street Breakdown to this day has more poetic value than 90% of any hip hop songs ever made. A newspaper burns in the sand, and the headline says, "Man destroys man." Extra, extra, read all the bad news on the war of peace, then everybody would lose. The rise and fall, the last great empire, the center of the whole world caught on fire. The ruthless struggle, the desperate gamble, the game that left the whole world in shambles, the cheats, the lies, the alibis, and the foolish attempts can't be disguised. Last, lost in space, and what is it worth? The president just forgot about Earth, spending billions and maybe even trillions. The cost of this ran to zillions. There's gold in the street, and there's diamonds under feet, and the children in Africa don't even eat. Flies on their faces, they're living like mice, and the whole house even make the gutter look nice. Huh? The whole earth tastes funny. It's forever too sunny, and they work all month and don't make no money. Fight for power, a nuclear shower. Our people shout out in the darkest hour, out of sight unseen, voices unheard. And finally, the bomb gets the last word. Christians killed Muslims, Germans killed Jews. And everybody's bodies were used and abused. Huh? Minds are poisoned and souls are polluted. Superiority complex is deep rooted. Allegiance is licensed, and people get prices. People got prices. And egomaniacs control the self-righteous. Nothing is sacred, and nothing is pure. So the revelation of death is our cure. Hitler and Caesar, Custer and Reagan, Napoleon, Castro, Mussolini, Genghis Khan, and the Tsar Iran. Men spilled the blood of the weaker man. The people's in terror. The leaders made an error, and now they can't even look in the mirror because we gotta suffer when things get rougher. That's why the reason why we got to get tougher. So learn from the past, work for the future, and don't be a slave to no computer, because the children of man inherits the land. The future of the world is in your hand. That's the best lyrical performance I ever heard, according to Kool. If you look at my MC scoring system, you see that Mel's execution of the song scores 100%. Originality, substance, poetic value, vocal presence, social impact, industry impact, concept, and lyrics. This is an example of the highest level of the game. Ironically, it was also the song that locked Mel into a zone where he was no longer received as an MC. His potency was too high. So when he tried to come with the classic MC braggadocio demonstrated on King of the Streets, he wasn't received well. He perceived that song with one of the darkest, poetically proficient records ever, World War II, when he talked about the end of the world. Fans felt like it was too much. It made people think instead of dance. It was like Melly Mel was showing them that they were in the matrix. People don't want to hear or do anything about it. They just want to party. But in the final analysis, Melly Mel laid the groundwork for the lyrical race in the game. From 1978 to 1986, he did it at the highest level possible for the time. He showed the hip hop world that we could use music for more than just dance. We could actually communicate our social, political, spiritual views to try to help each other shed light on major issues. As far as his skills go, they're unquestionable. He exuded a passionate attack that was literally a combination of Biggie and Tupac. He delivered a powerful commentary with the reference and cadence that was almost preacher-like. He rhymed in French on his nasty. He gave Chaka Khan a street edge on I Feel For You. In 1998, along with myself, were handpicked by Quincy Jones for his Back on the Block album. Ice-T, that came on WEA's Traditional Music Channel, Warner Bros. Kool and Quincy's label Q West, distributed by WEA. Ice-T and Kane were also two of the highest MCs at the time, so this was no blame for Quincy. However, I was old school and on Job Records, because he had Penn pick me anyway. But Melly Mel arguably was the only one selected strictly for the skills. Even I still had some heat on me in 1990, so one might say that was what my selection was based on. However, Mel hadn't had a hit since 1984. His impact and excellently profound lyrics is what sustained his energy and master production, like Quincy Jones can't be fooled by heat or the lack thereof. However, in the United States of amnesia, man seems to forget about whatever is not hot currently. I, on the other hand, am a fan of expert analysis. Melly Mel is arguably the true greatest MC. Strength, vocals. Nobody comes across with the combination of vocal presence, intensity, substance, poetic value, and lyrical mastery like Mel. Weakness, transition. He never respected change enough to be able to make the transition to the newest styles of rhyming. Favorite record, White Lines, Beat Street Breakdown. The best Grandmaster Flash, Melody on the Furious 5. favorite LP. Millie Mel, originality, the original MC who set the template for whatever we were going to be doing. Until Melly Mel, people rhyme completely in the party style. He is the first one to come with analogy, antonym, and simile. He is the first MC to bring all of that into the equation and his regular voice. He's the original. He should be able to get 200 for originality. 85, you got to just go back and listen. He did have the opportunity to do albums, but basically doing the singles that he did at the time in the group PS5, and then when he got out of it, just White Man's Lawn was a concept that was ridiculous. 90 for versatility. Mel can give you the braggadocio, he can give you message, he can give you street commentary, he can break records about the president, records on Jesse Jackson, the concept about World War III, and he was a versatile MC without question. 95 vocabulary, with just the references that he makes, even newer stuff that people haven't heard that isn't on wax. It's just ridiculous in terms of what he does with vocabulary. Substance 100. This says it all. A child is born with no state of mind. In my opinion, is the best rhyme ever heard in the history of the game. 90. A lot like myself and Grandmaster Cats, he basically had the old school flow, but set it up. Set the cadence, and that's basically what everybody built on. People now know how to rhyme because of him. His flow was very, very prominent in that equation. 90 flavor. Mel would basically use his voice almost like a preacher. That was his flavor in the equation. He was a very, very intense. He was the first intense MC. LL Tupac are in the same vein, but Mel is that with a deeper voice, like I said, is like a preacher's cadence of a drill show. It's definitely powerful on the flavor side. Number 75 for freestyle. Once said to me that he's too much of a professional to be a freestyler. What they are talking about today, but for what freestyle was back then, he still wouldn't even do it. He wouldn't do it because he would always write rhymes about particular things as opposed to his freestyle. He got 75 because he still could do it, and there are tapes of him actually doing it. 100 for vocal presence. Other than Chuck D, there's nobody else's voice in the game that's more powerful than Melly Mel. That's just unanimous. Hands down, it is what it is. 100 live performance. That's one of the best live performances if you ever saw. Grandmaster Flash and Furious 5 showed Melly Mel was the lead MC. He held it down, set the tone, followed his lead. Even in his solo stuff to this day, his stage presence is crazy. 100 poetic value. Again, The Child is Born is the greatest rhyme I've ever heard and the most poetic rhyme I ever heard. Number 95, body of work. He didn't get a chance to do albums at the level people are doing now. Made that transition that Cass didn't make for the legacy. He was a dominant MC, period, on wax, 1980, 1985. That's just how it was. Melly Mel, without question, party is 95. 100 for long industry impact. So the message, Melly Mel people didn't even know that hip hop could have another voice that was outside of the party. Industry impact alone set the tone and set the tempo for whatever anybody was doing later, because everybody knew from that point you could basically do anything. It was kind of a mild blueprint for Public Enemy. Public Enemy was just more political, but Mel is the author of the original social commentary. No, 100 social impact for 100. That's 100 same thing with the social impact. That's just one of the more profound records. It's the absolute beginning of people having to look at the ghetto in a different light. It's because of Mel and his rhyme, especially on the song. The message stayed the same. East Street in New York. He just had a ton of records where he was dealing with America. Making America focus on them very early in the game before hip hop was at its prominent stage. Number 90. He held it down for 4 years before wax, then 5 years after wax. Definitely Mel gets credit for that. Whether you understand how powerful he was before wax or not, it's 90 on the longevity side. 100 lyrics. I need now you say more. One of the most profound lyrics ever. He not only had braggadocio, but he also had energy in the equation and with profound things, rhymes. Number 95, battle skills. Mel could definitely bring the battle side to the equation if necessary. If it was really his forte, but he definitely understands what to do. He has had this acumen to do it. He's just too lyrical to not be one of the better battles in that equation. So total score was 1,605. Average score of 94.4. So that's it. One D felt that I'm going to see was Melly Mel. That's it. We're done. Thanks for tuning in. 6 people tuning in. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. I am done. I'll come back at about 8 o'clock and do a book that I did a decade ago about the top 50 underrated wide receivers. That's the book I wrote, the top 50 underrated NFL wide receivers. The top 50 NFL wide receivers. The top 50 underrated NFL wide receivers. That's going to be talked about at 8 o'clock. I'll be going over numbers 50, 49, and 48, and that'll be it for the day. It's been a long day, a lot of great creative content on this holiday, on this 4th of July. But this is going to be the next book I'm going to be doing. I already finished this book already. I already gave the rundown of the top 50 greatest MCs, the Kool D book. I'm done with that. So I'm going to make that transition to look into my own book. This is my book that I wrote by yours truly, the top 50 NFL underrated wide receivers. The top 50 underrated NFL wide receivers that's coming up soon. So till then, talk to you at 8 o'clock.